I was just reading a post on Facebook, not now, long time ago, and there was a profound statement a sister made, which I just found interesting. She was like, I would rather spend half the time with a good man than full time with a waste man. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters and dear friends. Welcome to another episode of Talk to Me. I'm your host, Ali Dawah, on the show. Before I start, I want to introduce our dear devil's advocate, because he's the main guy, actually, has priority. What's your role on this show, Aki?
Okay, yes, assalamu alaikum. My name's Hamza Patterson. I'm devil's advocate, so that role is to essentially contest the main arguments and try and show the other side of the argument.
Yes, make the show more exciting. And on your left is brother
Yusuf.
Brother Yusuf, may Allah bless him. And here we have brother Mohammed Hijab, who's involved in the Dawah, and he's a YouTuber himself. And we've got brother Asif. Yep. Okay, so today's topic is something controversial. Some brothers get excited when they hear it. Sisters get angry. It's the matter of polygamy. The question that needs to be asked is polygamy something that could be practiced in today's time? Brother Mohammed, what's your take on this? Do you think it can be practiced? Do you think maybe men take advantage of this? Expand a bit.
Well, definitely men do take advantage of this, just as they do take advantage of many things, because as the Quran says, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى, that surely man is in a state of transgression. And that applies to men and women. But generally speaking, going back to what you said, which was absolutely true, I think it's very important to note that in all of the ancient texts, almost without any exception, like for example, the Old Testament, you have Abraham has three wives, 2 wives with 1 concubine. Solomon has 300 wives and 700 concubines. In other texts, like for example, even the Sikh scriptures, six of the 12 gurus were in polygamous relationships. So this is not an exclusive, like Islam doesn't have the monopoly of on this. And as you correctly said as well, like for example, liberalism as a political philosophy doesn't actually restrict people from, if they wanted to, practice polygamy, and this goes for both genders.
And although both brothers have brought fair arguments, but I would say on the other side of the argument is that we're living in a country where polygamy marriage is forbidden. Yeah, it's illegal. Yeah. So, and as Muslims, we've been instructed by people of knowledge and whatnot that we should obey the law of the land. Mm-hmm. And although it is permissible in Islamic law, there's nothing in Islamic law that has made it mandatory for us to go out our way to have polygamous marriage. So therefore, when you're looking at two sides of the coin where one is a legal stance on the country that you're living in, to something where it's just merely permissible. I think that we should just take the stance of not breaking the law.
Just to kind of contest what you've just said there, it's true. What you've said is correct. It is illegal, but then that begs the question: why is polygamy illegal per se and adultery is not illegal? I mean, this is an incredible double standard from a moral perspective.
Okay,
so
very valid question. I just want to do like a little survey here. Let's come to the brothers. How many of you guys would get into a polygamous marriage? Be honest, don't worry, the cameras are not on you.
Sorry, say again?
How many of you guys would get into a polygamous marriage? For example, not in this, let's say if it was in a country that's legal, for example. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sisters, how many of you guys wouldn't have a problem with your husband marrying again? Yes, that was expected. Okay, one sister. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I want to come to the sisters. Sisters, what is your main concerns with the issue of polygamy? Not that you're against it, obviously. Like, what's your say on it? Like, let's go through some sisters. Like, what is the fears maybe sisters face, or what is it? Like, we want to take it from your point of view. Let's go to the sister, inshallah. Yeah, you sister. Yeah, you sister.
Oh,
yeah.
What I think is it's all about honesty. Like, if you're going to get into it, then you should be honest and upfront before you marry someone, because that girl might not know what she's getting herself into. And what I've seen from like a lot of older people is that they'll like go hide a second wife somewhere, and they'll they wouldn't really tell them, and then somehow they'll all find out, and then the kids will get involved, and like the kids will have some sort of like hatred towards their parent, and that's not nice.
So you're saying it shouldn't be hidden. Let's go to this sister here.
I
Yes,
think
sister.
it's not really a problem, you know. The only problem is when they make a problem.
Hmm.
When the wife thinks that he's done it behind her back,
Okay.
or something like that. That's when it becomes a problem. But it's not really
Okay.
a problem.
Okay, let's go to this brother quickly.
I do disagree with one of the sisters that said that it should not be hidden before nikah, because you know, as the law of the Quran, like fitrah, a man might not decide at the point of nikah, the first nikah, that he's not going to do a second one, or he's not going to involve himself in another marriage. But later, during the course of the same nikah, he might decide that I want to go into another marriage.
Okay.
So when it says that it should not be, as in it should be revealed before nikah, because that's not always the choice, and that's not always the case.
But
Sometimes,
yeah.
even for example, if a man said, okay, very liberal, and said, yes, I don't mind getting into two nikahs, or you know how much Islam permits us to, and then if he declares that in the society we're living in, the first thing that the girl, or you know the opposite gender will say, okay, sorry, I can't be with you. So then it becomes hard for the man as well, even though he's according to the Sharia
Okay.
and wants to.
But shouldn't he be open if he says he wants to get married again? Shouldn't he be vocal and open about that to his first wife, that I will do this? That's what the sister's trying to say. Like, you should be open about it.
Before marriage?
Before marriage?
Yeah, before marriage.
Before marriage. So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's
before
not
getting
always the case, because
He
at
may
that
change
point.
Okay, so you're saying the brother might say, you know what, no, I don't want to get married again, but later on he might change his mind.
Yeah.
But then again, we do have a ruling with the scholars say, for example, that if you know, if the wife says that, you know, she doesn't want you to get married again, and it's signed, it might be too late for you to change your mind because it's done and dusted, which the sisters might rejoice at this. They don't know about it. However, the question is one of, yes.
Yeah, I mean, in regards to polygamy marriage as well, many of the times, or what it usually boils down to when it comes to the permissibility of it, is that whether the husbands can be fair, whether they can be equal. And there will be someone that will argue against it, that right in this day and age, no, they can't be. Especially in the West, in this country, the standard of living is getting higher. Many people can't afford to take a second wife. Usually you'll find ones that do engage in that as well. They'll end up cheating the system by trying to do something that is halal, but then again, something again which is going against the law of the land.
Okay.
As a person who lives in Britain,
Yeah.
you said about it's not obeying the law of the land. The law of the land doesn't recognise nikah anyway. So khalas. My marriage is nikah only. I haven't gone to any British law and got it signed off. My nikah is only a nikah. It's not a British marriage. So they don't recognise my marriage anyway.
Yeah, but it's not against the law though, is it?
No, it's not against the law. So I haven't broken the law.
Okay, but you getting married again.
No, because
Is against
nikah's
the
not
law.
recognised. So it's not even a marriage I'm involved in.
Or,
Nikah is
okay,
not
I
recognised by
understand.
Britain.
No,
so
we're not talking about here, is it valid or not? We're saying as a man.
Yeah, so I'm
why
saying, so
polygamy?
yes,
Why
I would, and
polygamy?
I'm not breaking the law, and I would do it because it's halal for me.
Is that the only reason? Like, it's halal? From a man's perspective?
Allah says take 2, 3 or 4. He doesn't say take 1 first. He says take 2, 3 or
but then
4.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says...
And then in ayah 2 or 3 ayahs down the road, Allah says, and you will never be just, so fear Allah. You will always love one
second.
more than the
Let's
other,
go to
but
the
be
sisters.
just.
Maybe the sisters want to finish the ayah. You know, where he said 2, 3 and 4. Sisters, is that where the ayah ends? Is that where it ends? Let's go to the sister here.
If you feel like you can't be just,
Sorry,
then you should
sorry,
take-
can we say that?
If you have a fear that you cannot be just,
Yeah.
then you take one.
Did
and
you
it's
hear
not
that, Farouk?
possible for
The
anyone to be
sisters-
just.
Yeah, well, I'll let the sister finish it for you.
It's not possible.
Okay, so let me ask a question.
Or can we say that we'll definitely be just, we'll give each the amount in regards to money and house and thing. Love is not something that you can control in regards to your heart.
Allah
But
subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's spoken about this. He says, وَلَن تَسْتَطِيعُوا أَن تَعْدِلُوا بَيْنَ النِّكَاحِ وَلَوْ حَرَصْتُمْ فَلَا تُمِيلُوا كُلَّ الْمَيْلِ فَتَذَرُوهَا كَالْمُعَلَّقِ. He says that you will never be able to be just with your wives, and even if you'll try it. So then he gives you advice. He says, so don't lean. Literally, the Arabic word is quite similar to the English. So don't lean in one direction of one woman, so to leave the other one suspended. In other words,
is that in regards to material things, or is that in regards to love?
So what the
Regards to
scholars
where your heart lies?
have said is basically that when it comes to you where your heart is,
Right, okay,
you're
fine.
not held accountable.
But in
for
regards to what we've seen in many statistics,
Yeah.
that when brothers that take on another wife, what happens is they end up cheating the system, right? They'll claim single for the second,
Well,
they'll do
maybe
benefits,
you're
and
right.
they'll do little dodgy
Maybe you're right.
around the bend things to try and get something,
That's a good
which
point.
there's, and that's not right. No matter where.
Okay.
No way.
Yeah, let's go to this brother here, inshallah.
I saw one of your videos, either Muhammad or Ali.
Yeah.
And you were saying that both of you were in the video, and you were saying that people in Britain practice polygamy, but they don't see it as polygamy. Like, so boyfriends and girlfriends having multiple partners, that is polygamy, but they won't see it because of the way they see polygamy, or when they think of polygamy, oh, more than one wife. No, I don't agree with polygamy, but then technically they're doing it already.
Okay, yeah. So the question that needs to be asked is, okay, look, if we look at maybe certain individuals, they have a right to have, premarital relationships, girlfriends, etc. So what's the difference? Because if we look at it, we can say, they're actually practicing polygamy, but with no rules or regulations. So, maybe somebody might come and say in Islam, there's rules and regulations to protect the woman. But over here, maybe there's individuals who go out there and just, have girlfriends, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever it may be. So what's your take on this? Let's go to this sister and then we'll go here.
Because it's not legalized. It's not written on paper.
Okay.
That's the difference. That's why they can be with multiple partners.
Yeah.
But in Islam, we don't have that. You're not allowed to be with another person until you're married.
Okay.
That's the difference.
Okay. So let's just go to the sister, inshallah. Yeah.
The point that I wanted to make was more on the sense of, if you look at the reasons polygamy happens in Islamic history and in our cultures, it's not because of lust. If you look at, for example, in my country, the living standards are quite bad. So if a man passes away, his brother will marry the wife.
Okay.
And these are reasons that you can fathom make sense. But in the sense of, okay, I'm living in the West and I have desires, you shouldn't even be looking at a woman that's not your wife.